Okay, I think it's live. YouTube kicks in. Good. Okay, so today's topic is task queue. What I mean is what I remember seeing long time ago, the way Sims handled it. I think I had a better example here earlier. Is it this? I think so. Let's open this image in, not the link, the image. This one. Still don't know how to use this properly. Let's find the image here. I think I need to change the shortcuts, but anyway, we are seeing it. I believe these were queued actions. It's writing something, and I don't quite know what this is. It's hard to know what it is, but whatever it is, I think they are related to the events or actions that you could take in the game, more specifically in the house. So in our garden situation, we are going to repair things. We are going to maybe mix our compost pile, so stuff will take some time. So things will take more than a few seconds to finish, let's say. So we need to create a queue of actions. Um, so first, we thought of the repair as a queue, repair operations, so that you could fire up multiple repair jobs. But today we decided to have more items added to the queue, not necessarily repair task. So we will need a generic queue for all tasks, and the interface will be slightly similar to this, but we won't actually have buttons perhaps. Let's undo this. I think we no longer need these radio buttons. We will most likely never need this. This is just an icon, just an icon. I think if all these three items here, they were reserved for repair, maybe we'll actually have repair icon, 3 icons, similar to the way. Did I just close 3 repair icons that they are going to be from left to right or from top to bottom. So that you could actually switch between tasks too. In the original design here, we thought of, say, whichever one is selected here, that it's the player is currently repairing rain barrel. If the second item is selected, then the player is actually repairing the compost unit, and it is actually going to take 2 days. So this way you could prioritize which one you repair first. So it's going to be similar to that, but I don't think we should put names because then it takes too much space. Instead, this is the suggestion we came up with, that when you highlight it or you hover on, it's going to highlight the relevant unit in it. We may even actually put a magnifying glass so it actually takes you to that unit. So this also needs to have maybe a delete icon so that you remove it from the queue. So I want to handle everything as small area as possible. And maybe the time will also be a tooltip and some kind of a filling bar that actually shows you if it's taking a longer time. few concerns here. Let's see. I believe somewhere we have something like this. Let's take this. That's a good candidate. Let's make these two centered. Well, we actually have a close button for. I still have to tidy up the top frame. Fine, components run like. Why is there a separate run icon? Looks bizarre. Oh, okay. Advanced. Guess when I was organizing it, I should never have been that. Yeah, that's to group them. Here's the weather day. There's also going to be. Go back to task queue. That's, I think, I had five buttons. I may have to make different versions of this. This is the one that we use for weather. Also, hmm. Oh yeah, I took it out of here. It was original here. We put it in components. We created two types of panels. One with just blank panel and one panel with header and footer. And of course, it also comes with the button. This may actually be here. Icon could actually have a timer. We said talked about three different things: closing, timing, magnifying glass. Put some kind of progress bar. And we pretend we have V scroll bar. Let's take this, attach this distance. Could keep it vertical or horizontal. I think horizontal might be fine. You are 54. This is gonna be interesting. .48, smaller. I think you're a group. This one. I am interested in Tango. Okay. Oh, you're actually a line. So see, your curvature is what is the reason why you look curved? because you are centered and your cap is round. Okay, you do 5. This one is 2. So we could fill you up like this, thing like this. Let's have an empty thing. Let's have another version of this. Pull you aside. Let's imagine you are kind of 0%, maybe percent. Trying to see how subtle this light green thing, it needs a stroke or not. Just deciding a few game design points. When you say something is going to take 1 day and 2 days and 3 days, so I suppose you gotta have a start date, a final date. You check the current time against the start date. You know how much work there is left. But then if the work is interrupted, yeah, so you gotta know the start date and the end date. That gives you the total amount of time needs to be worked on so that you complete the job. Now, every time you spend some time on this task, you are chipping away the work. So if you interrupt the work, prioritize some other work. That's how you know. And the day is sort of telling you how much work there is left, not because it's like it's all going to be done in 1 day. Day may pass, but you may not be done with the task. So instead of writing numbers and days, you could still keep track of it by progress bar. That's fine. And maybe when we do the tooltip here, you can actually say, well, 48% of the job is done, 1% of the job is done. That we could do that. Let me try a different effect here. If this is actually too dark, might be light. I think we had another version. We had another green. I think it's easier to read this. Control Alt C, Control Alt V here. So we also need a UI button. I think we need to go visit this. Maybe we need another UI button. Maybe we need zoom or investigate. Now I'll actually show magnifying glass as a zoom thing, but what we actually mean is take a closer look. Just sort of investigate. And for that, you can go and find a flat icon for that and take a reference. And I bet I might actually find magnifying glass. Most simple one. Um, this is such a simple thing. We'll can replicate this. Or here, just a circle in a line. Your circle. 8. Centered. Centered enough. As we go into sort of subpixel area here. Line. Need to stroke. We will actually do Shift X. Okay. Let's center this just in case. Okay. The fit. Going to be like that. So I can do the radius. Then close it down. Now we can do the fill and stroke reverse. And give friendly color for now. So line is line. Here's the line. Going to be rounded anyway. Um, side. Okay. That's how we do it. Now, if I recall, when you do this, it doesn't scale the stroke. This always happens. Frustrating. Is it because I'm not choosing something? When I scale things, the stroke is always keeping its width, whatever this property. Weight, called weight sometimes. Anyhow, not bad. This. And let's do 3. Essentially, you're going to fit in an area like this. I think there, 2, up. Let's get rid of the X. Collection colors is this. Let's make I think I did the other one orange. Let's swap these. Ratio looks horrible. Much better. Still a little bit off. I think that circle is too big. guy just like that so that we have the roundedness. That's it. Nothing I'm touching it besides color. Where were we? Task queue. Copy this, paste it, move it somewhere here. Going to be investigate. Maybe we'll make this one red. We'll figure it out. Now we need menu kind of style or the action listed one after another. That might be honestly what is needed. Type of the action presented by an icon. The duration of the action. We may need to pause it. May need to pause it. We may actually need a different icon that is showing that is the action that is currently happening. Because if we have them vertically listed, or you look at your list and you want to prioritize something in the middle, there should most likely be a play button. So when you click that, maybe that actually item has to be moved to the top of the list. The top of the list is always being worked on. But then that you should also have a pause button for the top of the list because you may want to just pause that and do something else. And when you trigger some other action that is not necessarily involving one of the items in the task queue, we will also automatically pause your task, the active one. So let's see. If we have a third button here, we may have to stack them next to each other vertically. The way we did it with here. Either way, I think it's easier to click a play button than expecting the player to click the all icon. Because if they accidentally click the all icon thinking that they are going to read information or something like that will automatically switch the task. However, may also be seamless too. That you don't actually have to click another button. The task icon itself is the button. I think we already have something in on us for play. This is the one that we I think used here too. So let's actually take it. This one, copy it. It's the icon. We actually have a post thing soon too. So let's move this here. Your job is done. Thank you, sir. Let's add a new variant. Let's not name it Delta. Um, activate. I want to say play. Here's activation. Might be a little bit too big. Let's make 14. Much better. Uh, I think I'm gonna grab some chocolate. Still deciding if I also need an hourglass symbol. I'll explain. Let's try to see this button first in the view context. Let's duplicate this button. Front. I know the edges are blending into the area. And we may actually display those little buttons when the component is selected by hover. I'm just going to duplicate this a few more times. I think it's safe to say that this is actually repair tools. Yeah. Oh, I see. That is it's not what we want. Oh, this icon's space is actually declared as 54 here. Shrunk here. This is going to be maybe vertically aligned and horizontally in this remaining space, not necessarily in the space of its parent object. But that being said, let's also group these two objects. So that's like we may even make it a component. As much as this sounds silly, I like the way Figma handles components, and I think we should take advantage of that as much as possible. Now, problem is, where the hell did that component go? Suspect it's somewhere here. Oop. Here? Yeah. 500, 500 something. Yeah, I think it always picks the X and Y from the original page, puts it here, and you don't necessarily know on a blank page like this what 00 is. Sometimes it gets overlaid. And then like over some other components that you have here. It's hard to know. Being said, it. Let's ungroup these two things. Going to be the components, so we'll just turn this into component. The components, so fix your frame. Okay. Task completion. That's the component. Suppose. Task progress bar. Let's start creating variants. Is going to be say just arbitrarily 20%. This might be 10%. Let's create one with here. Create one with 50%. Which means it's actually going to be somewhere here. Maybe 100%. When you get to 100%, actually taken off the list anyway. So let's make it 90%. So it's not somewhere here. Okay. So now need task progress. One more. Yeah, this is actually 5. Yeah, they are actually. Now we can actually do percent. Did I change the? Oh, we'll change it. Silly me. Oh, good. Let's make a few more copies of this. I'm not concerned about where I'm placing these. I'll see something else. 7 pixel difference is fine for now. I don't care. Let's do another 7. Let's do another 7. Maybe 2 repair. 1. Currently considering harvest is an stirring compost. That might take. Because it's actually. See, this one's space is also horribly wrong. Yeah, this is going to happen because there's no auto layout. This would have actually been centered in its parent. Um, um, emptying compost might also take some time. Swapping soil might take. We have something like this. I think this list can't be an infinite list. At some point, we have to introduce the vertical scroll. Instead of investigation magnifying glass, I think we should use a different icon, which is I think we could look for landmark, and I know the symbol. This is the symbol. I would very likely recommend. How about rating on G? I'll do this after the stream. But now go away. Something like this. Is essentially very simple shape that we can create. Just need a new variant, and we call it arc. There is smarter name for this. Um, locate. That's what it is. This can be investigate. That's fine. Maybe we'll use that for a different reason. Let's make this. What's the idea here? We have a circle. Oh, here's the circle. 45, 40. And then we actually still have a circle, but then we have this shape here. So let's make that bigger circle like this. Let's go into edit mode. Let's punch this one. One is gonna come down here. Then like this. It's 2.5. That's it. And then we'll go one layer back. Gotta kind of punch this. That is object. Boolean groups. Subtract. Bingo. Now, of course, the inner circle is should have kept it a little bit bigger, but the small is 14 pixels. 16 here. Whoa. Yeah, I think I should have made the inner circle. Cut here, paste the polygon, remove the polygon. Get much better colors such as maybe I'll make the inner circle white too. I kind of wanted it transparent, but luckily it actually kept. Okay, subtract is actually to make the stroke bigger, that means the circle has to be going to be 9. Let's do it here. Really? 9. Okay. Does it even look like what we feel? When I did the subtract, it's actually removing it. Need to break that. We may both have the fill, and this one will have the fill. Still something better about this. Let's take this down to see. That doesn't look legible either, so it's not exactly my fault. Anything, because we don't have the inner shape here, ours looks better, but can shake the feeling that it's not exactly conveying the message I want to give. Sometimes some icons you need them to have a bit of shape, some size. The- This is actually better. At least we see the pointings. Okay, and perhaps this actually has to be a different color. This has to be. I think we've already done this. That's already color. Just playing with the idea. The thing is, you should group. It's not entirely centered. Okay, I'd rather have it centered. It's better. Color is of course still debatable. Actually looked okay. Lighter. That tone though. Neutral, that's too. That's it. Still has some blue tones, but more neutral, gray like. So we did that because we wanted to replace this with the locate. Let's keep in mind that the X action here is actually close. It's not exactly delete. What we mean here is delete. Sort of take it out of the queue, right? think we may have the wrong interpretation of that close button in that sense. What would you mean is the delete as this? Maybe, just maybe. Maybe we actually mean. And let's paste it here. It's your loading icon that I copied. Actually, a component. Let's do this. Catch. Fix your frame size for the group. Same problem with stroke. It's actually up. We'll fix those. Funnily enough, when you scale up, they keep the same size, but that's the problem because they keep the same size. Kind of look up when they are small. Copy, come here, paste the other group, and then keep this one. Maybe we'll just fix the stroke. So here, this might actually be fine. Background color is going to, maybe this one will be, then we'll make this part light gray. Looks like shit. See, inspiration. That's just trash. Maybe I should go with vertical lines instead of slanted. Besides, this doesn't even look centered. There's always something about the group yourself, whatever. Um, that looks even simpler. I think mine has the lid that is actually sort of gap. Let's take this icon, group it, free about it. Do this. Yeah, I think I did this custom. Okay, that's easy. Maybe we'll add one more. Copy paste the group. Maybe this group should have a layout. It's kind of low scores. Okay, this is 1231. 12. Uh, the lid. Honestly, that lid is the problem part. Then the bottom is also not quite on. Point 75. 75. Contrast is horrible. You can always Close the lid again. What if we did something unconventional? Horrible. Okay, so remove this detail. Close the lid. There's always that subpixel thingy. There. Let's go with this. See how it's like garbage. I think as simple as this is gonna be something like X. Is it? In fact, it's so simple. It's like this with the custom borders, which is 2 and 2, like the 2. Uh, 2 0 0 2 is 2 2 0 0 and maybe even 1. That's it. And then we repeat the same thing with the other tables here. Here's the top 0 0 1 1. Color will be now we may actually keep the background neutral and then have this red. This is going to be this emphasized. So then this actually has to be the same red too. There's a top like that which we need an X. We have X quite like that X. Put that X here. Here's the lid. It says to be like this. A little bit more. See? Because we have to fit this in. Then maybe this will be actually 2. We'll adjust that. This is the reference. Take this, group this, cut it. Cut this. Actually, I need top of the lid. Paste it. The top of the lid is exactly where here. Cut it. Paste it into this. This group is hidden. Background is going to be neutral, like something like, which is essentially this. Okay, because it's going to be over surface, but right now we can't really see it, so it's actually E5. I'm going to put it as white so we can actually go there. Here's the lid be there. should come this. The lid is going to be gray colored. Take this color. Perhaps this is too much. Okay. You should behave like this. Of course you won't. The whole idea of strokes not behaving. Selfie. It's not entirely. I remember having a hard time doing this. Something so odd about this. Oh, I remember how. You have to manually do this. Goes into this control point because this is actually this has to go into this. Of course, in this case, it. Otherwise, the centering process doesn't quite work. Still 2 pixels off here. Okay, off this way, this way. This is actually an afterthought. This isn't even centered. Okay, to me. Now let's fine tune this. This to this to be have the lid. Be more space for the fingers. This shape is also small enough that we don't really see the curvature. Maybe we do here. And maybe it needs a bit more height. Which then will push the X down. And to be honest, this is either too rounded or too evil. Let's make it. Okay, that's looking more like a trash can. And as usual, even the original logo icon that actually look decent here, when it gets really small, even the original looks weird. Defined like this, of course, looks good. Both kind of look awkward from distance. And their X is actually a bit smaller. We could do that, but this clearly gives you red X, which is different than a close X. The background is, of course, awkward. Change that. That's when we may actually have to go with this light green. Okay, Task queue. I think we need to change this to delete. I like that. This might work too. I think this is commits the removing message and closing. Because we are going to use this consistently in other places. And people get used to seeing closes, like close buttons everywhere. Uh, uh, Introduce something more straightforward here. Speaking of which, we need buttons to be really neat. We need to locate, we need to delete the action, start the action. We talked about hourglass showing that, well, a task is being worked on. It's always the top item. But if you pause that item, this is activate. Let's make one with the pause. For that, we'll take this. I think instead of doing it this way, I'll do it this way. That was easy. Let's duplicate this button. Call it pose. Much because they found it. Even now, these guys may actually count, and then maybe we'll swap the colors. Naturally, these ones will actually have something. You roll over. If you mouse over, I mean. Still thinking about the vertical scroll bar. And we have it. Because for a moment, this is what I was thinking. We will have locate. Technically, we won't be displaying everything like this. These two will be displayed when you are over this item. Center yourself. And I was thinking maybe this should also be somewhere here. And there's this. There are even more buttons here. We initialize this. We activate this and going to the top. We need some kind of indicator for the top item that we know it's working. Suppose we could actually show an animated cog symbol, or we could use this as this is where I either get confused myself or I'm just afraid the players will be confused. So either way, I feel confused. Let me explain why. I'm not sure if this is due to the fact that I have learning disability or a way of interpreting simple things in a confusing way. But sometimes when I look at the state of things, I don't quite know whether it's displaying the current state or that if I click that icon, it's actually going to trigger that symbol. When I see this triangle, and I don't even want to say play icon, because if I see this play icon, if I click it, is it supposed to play it, or was I supposed to think that this was already playing? And if I click it, am I now supposed to see the pause icon, those double bars? So I feel confused. Um, because it's maybe oversimplifying that you're putting too many things in one button and you're overloading the meaning of that button. It might be because of that. And I actually see that happen more and more in many products these days. If you're not used to the functionality and if you have no way of understanding the state, it's hard to know. It doesn't work as simple as looking in the room, seeing a light switch off, and looking also that the room is dark. Obviously you'll know. But when you have too many things grouped together, and if these are going to be shown one at a time when you actually interact with this object, you don't want to check different objects to see like which one is playing to understand if this is playing that sort of. Let me know uh, what you think of this. If I'm the only one, I don't know because I'm curious. Sometimes I find myself frustrated that either I am actually right about this or it's just the kind of an expected user behavior that designers don't honor that I actually don't want to commit the same mistake either. Nevertheless, Maybe we'll keep this icon designed. I will explain to the user that clicking this is going to locate. Means we can actually put this here. That means we can actually take this next. Let's look for an icon that actually conveys the meaning active. Unsurprisingly brings up cog, symbols, time. Did I use a time symbol similar to this? I think I had something going. Circuits. Remember using there was some kind of speed or pace speedometer. About time. Something wrong about the time. Too slow or too fast. I think I removed it from the pages at some point. Anyway, this gives the meaning that it's complete. Or it's active. This looks interesting actually. It even comes in colors. Actually, that's still a waste of space. If we are going to explain what this task queue does, we just need to figure out whether the top task is paused or not. Mind you, it still comes back to the same point. People should have no doubt ever. If I'm over this object, these two little buttons popped up. I don't care about this locate. It could be delete. This bottom one is concerning. If I hit that triangle, if I'm taking this item to the top of the list, am I now supposed to see this pause icon? Thinking that if I now hit this, it should be paused. And what do I display? I actually should display again the triangle because showing something and clicking that will actually trigger that action. As long as the player actually understands that intuitively, I think that's what we might have to do. So in this situation, the top one is working, and if we click this one, we'll pause it, and this will turn into a play icon. So just like the items that are not the first one will have this play icon. Once clicked, they will actually move themselves to the top of the list and play. If the player happens to pause the first item by clicking this pause icon, and this will turn into a play icon so that they can actually choose to click that and then make that item workable again. They are actually working on it. The only difference is that this is the top of the list, that we are not actually moving this again. So locate can be done the way I suggested, that maybe we click the task itself that actually locates us, moves us to the location of the task, and then just this one going to be part of the thing. So which means we can now turn this into, I think, a component. The only thing that is perhaps missing here is which this text version gave. When you queue some stuff, and imagine this queue is such that you have 2, 3, and 1 day as well. That the last item you added to the queue is going to take the shortest. Maybe you want to prioritize it and move it to the top of the list. Looking at the progress, how much progress we have. Although this is 50% done, still doesn't give me any idea that maybe starting this task may actually finish earlier than this task. More of it is. Um, I guess that's where tooltips might. We say um, that it's going to take some time, this much time. Yeah, we had the stop logic here too, but that was done for every repair task, whichever one you chose. So far, good progress. think tooltip might be inevitable. Let's first turn all this into a component. Let's say this is going to be delete. Just want to take this stuff, move this to component, and it is somewhere here. It always is. You know what? I'll group yourself, group, then move yourself, because then I find it anyway. Paste yourself, ungroup, component. What is the component here? This is actually a task queue item. That's what this is. Maybe I can actually separately. Did you lose your background? Like you did. Where's your background? Got lost somewhere. Silly thing. Anyway, um, copy paste. Oh no. Your background is already part of the list. So you're already a component, which is it. So we are going to pretend that you are the task. Okay. It's a separate issue that you are going to center. And maybe I'll actually make, at some point, I'm afraid I'm going to have to make versions of this. I think scaled. Yeah. I was reading about Figma's component model today, and I think there's some naming convention that might be useful about the way they suggest the slashes for color combination. I now want to create a, like, was it primary? Yeah, the way these UI buttons is, it's just UI buttons, but I think there is a way to uh, turn this into another group that is going to be listed as components, UI buttons, primary, secondary. In this case, we can actually define primary as the green color and the secondary as background. I think I might wrap it up in 15 minutes and call it a day. Let's see. Because it's stupid to write variant names based on color. Should never do that. Because it's putting metadata into data, maybe. It's in concept. But how to do that? I think think that's when it was something about grouping and putting slashes. Let me just shamelessly group all this. Couldn't. This was like, say, ignore. I think I accidentally came across it this way. So this is still one button. This is still what we are. I'm able to do this, but it was a different page. This is just the variance that you here. We are already doing that. Still that. This is the shit. Each blah blah component's name will create another level of hierarchy. Component name, property value, button primary large default false will following property. We have actions equals close. Action is my own thing, which is actually properties. I see, it actually does it in order. Button, so if we name it like this, button slash primary large default false, which to see. So it actually follows the order of the property. Button is just the frame group name anyway. That's it. The prime, okay, button, primary, large default is this. I think it's also mentioned here. Button primary large default. That's exactly. And whether it has an icon or not is the yellow case, which is false or true. Now, the reason why I read it in this order is because from top to bottom, they actually started the variants or property names that way. So you first decide whether something is primary or secondary, then the size, then the state, then whether that actually has icon or not. Now, I think this could be in any order you want, but then you have to name your things differently, which means you could actually do button true. It's like, okay, buttons that actually have icons, and then kind of a different combination, but doesn't change the fact that it's mapping to one. Which means try this madness and then maybe call it a day. So here's a close button. Luckily, in our case, we don't have that many. What's going on? It could actually be. Now, when they named it, I don't quite see the tree structure though. Am I supposed to type the button as well, or am I just assuming because it's tagged under frame that it's gonna take over the framing? Okay, that's fine. We are doing this too. Reordering, see, that's important. Share them. Let's try once. We have only one variant. Copy this. Let's call this close to. Properties and values of this variant are conflict. Change the applied values on this variant to resolve. You are, sir, going to be secondary. And that's going to be, I see. This actually needs a new. Ooh. Which is essentially what I have been doing all along. I don't have to do anything different. I've already done that. I did not really need any slash thing because this is actually tracking it by commas. Is this page even current? Is there a date on this page? This is as if it's done exact same way, but without the slashes. Variant names follow this structure, yeah. Then why are we talking about slashes? Oh, that's to expose it to, but I suppose if yeah, I have to still label it this way. If I want to stay away from the slashes, that's the simple way, but this is going to expose it to the it's because let's actually try it. Delete this. It's going to remove the confusion. All good. Task queue. Just because I have this model here, X button, doesn't mean, yeah. See, this actually is although it has variants, they are not labeled properly with the slashes. This doesn't have cases. Just like the way I do this, I drag it and then I adjust its dates. Like something has text, it's this. Just blank or with icon and text. State is this. Some alignments are off, but um, for the time being, could have a new variant. We have the action, the type of the button, primary or secondary. It's more like a style, really. Um, sure. Actually, no, sorry. I need a new property, not the style. Alt. Call it make a green version of this. Going to be a lot of work here. Copy this. Okay. Thing is kind of screwed up. You are going to be red. Okay. Your color will be this red. And all of you will be red. Button up. You are going to be this red. Can later fix the side parts. The color has to change. This also has to change. This one. Okay. And you're all green, right? Action is mixed. Why is it mixed? Delete. Close. Delete. Well, action is mixed because when I choose both, like what is each? But there's no conflict here. That's the main part. Now, maybe we'll actually have a neutral case that actually has this kind of gray. Could actually do that too out of this. Okay. And the style will be neutral. And we'll consider this neutral case, which is basically this. We actually do something selection color. To this we can. The only difference is, of course, this is now going. This guy going to be. And of course, the shapes here is going to be red, red, red. But this is not turned. Do shapes. This. Okay. We'll see. I think for now this serves our purposes. This is still not labeled the way we want it. However, it's still doing the job. We prove it to you. Task Q. This, instead of having green activate, we can actually have neutral activate. That's what we can do. We were actually doing this work for so we can technically be neutral here. Okay. Means task queue item. This is why I don't quite get, like, actually it's still doing what you want. It exposes it as options. But what they actually really mean is that still these are UI buttons, components. It's essentially still one component. So I guess this is what they mean. They want to break this down into, because I've seen it here that it actually is expanding like this way. This way. Look here, I think frame 79. Yeah, which is this. Because at some point I turned some of these things into components, but I didn't move them to a specific page, so they kind of belong to this page, and it automatically puts slashes for me. And I realized there were a bunch of more nested things here, and I eventually took them back to the components because I keep them somewhere central. I kind of didn't really investigate that work. I think whatever they are saying about the slashes, it's actually going to let us do this. So we could actually have something like this. Components, you expand UI buttons, then that's going to have three lists, one for each type of component. Primary, wow, green, red, and neutral. Can we actually try that now with this stupid icon? How do we do that? Everything is already UI button. First thing is pose. Just do it this way because that's what they said. Pose. The layer has an invalid name. Make sure that all variant names are of the form. Yeah, but then I don't get this. This is valuable, but this, how do you, where do you exactly write this? Kind of looks like the layer name, but when I do that, it's screwed. You can also use this naming system to call the variants. If I'm doing this once, I have to do it for all. Don't really have that. It's working just good. Close neutral. Components, task queue item. Here's this. Okay. We are going to take a task queue item. Where is it? Drop it here. This actually may have its own variant. Let's focus on. This actually, no. Going to have a variant. Is going to have or. Okay. This property name will be state, and the first state will be normal. Okay. Now in the normal state, there isn't going to be these. Okay. But to test state as well. I don't think we'll have a disabled state sense. The press state will actually happen quickly. Can we actually take it out of this? Thank you. And in the press state, I think we are just going to change maybe some of this color here. This actually looks like the button that I press status. Copy. That looks dark, but because when it was too focused, and it's going to go back to normal state. Move the camera. That's that. And simulate this. We're going to have these two. Frame this selection, auto layout. Duplicate. Few more. This one is maybe hover. Okay. It's going to be 8. Maybe there's going to be a cutoff here. And I want to do it such that the zoom out too much gap. Let's make one more and then 8. 7 might do. So basically this is as bottom of this. There might be more, but that's why you are actually seeing the handle. This is the maximum area. So you could actually get rid of a task, initialize one. When you hover this one, you will see a pause icon here. When you do that, then it will turn into a play icon, so you could click and then play or activate. That one will have its own icon too. Now I might actually make that as another state too. It's like the first item active, first item passive case. But I think that we'll have to wait for the next stream, or I do it maybe outside the stream. For the time being, I think we are in a good shape. This is looking good. This is all redundant. This is gonna move somewhere. That when this is displayed, and then we have this displayed. Here we have that and other screens. It's all gonna come together. Maybe even this is open. There's the time and clock, task items, task queue, weather report. So starting to look more like a real game now. Okay, so that's it for today, and I don't see myself streaming more tonight. Maybe some other business, but definitely not streaming. We'll continue most likely on Wednesday.